Real estate law revenge. The night the divorce finalized, my wife's new boyfriend dragged his suitcase across my marble floors, our floors. Correction, their floors now. 2.4 million of hard-won real estate converted in an instant into the stage for my humiliation. I watched from the driveway, my signature still wet on the decree, as he, tall, smug, shirt unbuttoned one button too low, kissed her under the chandelier I'd installed myself. Her text had arrived an hour earlier, timed with cruel precision. "You'll die poor and alone." There was no punctuation at the end, no period, no mercy. I didn't reply, not then. Because just as her words burned into my retinas, my phone lit up again, an unknown number, vibrating like a rattle in a serpent's tail. I almost didn't answer, but silence and rage pressed me into it. "Is this Alexander Hale?" a man's voice asked, crisp, federal. "Yes. This is the Pentagon. Your grandfather's classified mission has been declassified as of midnight. His inheritance claim, delayed 60 years, is now transferable to you." I gripped the phone so tightly I felt the bones in my hand shift. "How much?" I whispered. $156 million. Silence expanded like a black hole in the room. "There's a condition," he continued. "To claim it, you must fulfill the exact requirement your grandfather was bound by. Real estate law, property title transfers. He could never access it because he was bound by his marriage. But you—" I didn't let him finish. I already knew. I stared through the glass at my ex-wife pressing her body against her new man in my home. Their shadows danced on the curtains like taunts. And for the first time in months, I smiled. The betrayal hadn't been sudden. Betrayal never is. It leaks drop by drop until you look down one day and realize you're drowning in it. I had built everything she wanted: houses, vacations, cars, dinners with judges and senators. I made her a queen in a world where I was only the architect. But queens crave kings. And she'd found hers, younger, hungrier, with the kind of reckless charm that feeds women who need attention more than they need air. The night before she left, I noticed it in her eyes, that quiet vacancy when I spoke. She wasn't listening anymore. She wasn't even pretending to. When the court split assets, she fought for the house like a starving wolf. I didn't contest. I let her have it, because sometimes letting someone win the wrong battle means they'll lose the war. And war was all I had left. What she didn't know, what she could never know, was that my grandfather had designed legal loopholes in property law that only blood could unlock. He'd been a quiet man, a soldier turned strategist, bound by government secrecy until the day he died. Now his secrets were mine. The Pentagon's call wasn't coincidence. It was timing, perfect, brutal timing. The universe had handed me a blade just as she thought I was disarmed. She thought moving her boyfriend in was the end of me. It was the beginning. I didn't rage. I didn't confront. I studied. She was predictable. Predictability is the weapon of the arrogant. Every Friday night, they opened a bottle of wine. $80 I used to buy in bulk, sat on the porch and laughed too loudly. He parked his sports car in my garage. She wore dresses I had purchased for her, parading them for him like trophies. But property titles don't lie. I began the paperwork silently. My law firm wasn't just a firm, it was the most feared real estate litigation machine on the East Coast. CEOs begged me to outmaneuver city ordinances. Developers paid me fortunes to rewrite zoning laws. And my ex-wife had forgotten who I was. I filed motions under shells of trusts. I traced her sloppy mistakes, unpaid taxes, a falsified document she thought the court wouldn't notice, a technicality in the divorce decree she hadn't read. Every move I made was precise, deliberate. At night, I lay awake, not with grief, but with calculation. The anger sharpened me. The loneliness disciplined me. I began pulling dank records, quietly. Her new boyfriend had debt, Crippling debt. A failed venture, lawsuits buried under non-disclosures, creditors circling like vultures. She thought she'd traded me for wealth. She'd traded me for rot wrapped in charm. Perfect. The Pentagon's condition was clear. To access the inheritance, I had to reclaim real estate under my name. Not just any property, that property. My grandfather had tied the key to it 60 years ago. The house she now called hers. The house she let another man defile. So I drafted the petition. Cold, clinical, a silent storm. And I waited. It was Tuesday when she received the envelope, delivered by hand, sealed with the weight of inevitability. Inside, a notice of title claim. My claim. Her world cracked in an instant. She called me. Of course she did. Rage disguised as confusion. Confusion disguising fear.
"What the hell is this?" she hissed. "You signed it away. It's mine." "No," I said quietly. "It was never yours." Silence stretched. I could hear her breathing, shallow, uneven. "What are you talking about?" "You should have read the decree. You fought for possession. You never fought for title. Two different things." Her voice broke. "That's not possible." "It's the law. My law." And for the first time, I let her hear the truth, calm, unshaken, final. "You never understood the difference between owning something and borrowing it." I could imagine her hands trembling as she looked around the house, our house, realizing it had never been hers at all. Her boyfriend shouted something in the background, angry, panicked. She muted him. But silence is louder than shouting. That was the moment she knew. We met in the office boardroom 2 weeks later, neutral ground. My attorneys flanked me like statues. Hers sat hunched, sweating under the fluorescent lights. She walked in late, sunglasses shielding eyes red from sleepless nights. He followed her, pale, jaw clenched, the swagger gone. I slid the file across the table. Inside, every document, every piece of evidence. Property law, debts, hidden liens, foreclosure notices. And, at the top, proof that the trust I'd revived from my grandfather's archive now owned everything. "This is theft," she whispered. "No," I corrected. "This is precision." Her boyfriend slammed the table. "We'll fight it." "You'll drown," I said. My voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. "You don't even own the ground you're standing on." The silence that followed wasn't silence. It was devastation. She leaned back, removing her glasses. Her eyes searched mine, looking for the man she once knew. I let her look. He was gone. What remained was something colder. She tried one last weapon, tears. But tears are powerless against someone who is already bled out. "Why?" she whispered. I didn't answer. Because revenge doesn't explain itself. It doesn't need to. The house returned to my name within 30 days. My grandfather's inheritance within 60. $156 million wired into accounts I'd structured years ago, waiting for the right moment. She moved out quietly. No lawsuit, no resistance. Her boyfriend disappeared, creditors finally catching the scent of blood. I never saw her again. Sometimes, at night, I drive past the house. Not to look at it, not to mourn it, to remind myself. Loss is a myth. Nothing is lost. It is only waiting to be claimed by the one patient enough to outlast betrayal. She thought she'd left me empty. She thought she'd left me poor, forgotten, broken. But the only thing she left me was the silence I needed to sharpen the blade. And when it cut clean. The final text I sent her contained only 4 words. "You were just renting."